Hello there. Welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. As always, I am Hoernke, and today I want to discuss the 2016 film Lights Out, directed by David F. Sandberg. I really want horror movies to be good. I feel that they are so infrequently good. And when they're good, they can be really good. But when they're bad, they're either really bad or they're just so meh. And I think this falls into sort of that meh. David F. Sandberg, I looked him up because I really don't recognize the name. This is actually his feature directorial debut, and he went on to get Annabelle Creation, and then from that went on to do Shazam, and he is supposedly tapped to do an unnamed Shazam sequel. But it just goes to show you that they don't necessarily reward creative success, shall we say, as I do not think that this was very much a creative success. However, the one thing it cannot be argued is that it's a financial success. Right? On a budget of supposedly $5 million, this thing made almost $150 million. And that's why we continue to get these sort of crappy, just mid-level meh horror movies, because they're so cheap to produce and they make they make for them a lot of money. $150 million for a Marvel movie would be like an absolutely horrible, travesty. But for this, it's exactly what this movie needs, and it's considered a pretty good success. In any case, moving on with the movie. This stars Theresa Palmer, who is one of those recognizable girls, you've seen her around. She's never really gotten to that next level, I think. She's been in a bunch of things. I remember her from Warm Bodies and Take Me Home Tonight, but she never has really kind of elevated her star status. But despite that, she manages to maintain a pretty, decent career working. In any case, here she stars as a young woman named Rebecca, and she's supposed to be this all rock and roll, middle finger to the law type, as demonstrated by her Avenged Sevenfold poster on her wall. Ooh. That's supposed to make her this sort of, Rage Against the Machine, And she's also painted as somewhat of a commitment phobe that extends not only to her family, but to her relationships. Sure, whatever. Just a basic setup for our protagonist. And her mom is played by Maria Bello, is named Sophie. And she has, let's say, a tenuous hold on sanity, which doesn't really work well for her stepbrother, who's in the same house. And as this film sets up, the dad figure in this he works in a textile plant mill sort of thing. And this is really where we get introduced not only to basically how this movie is going to function, or the horror aspect of it. We start to see this dark entity in the shadows, but when the lights turned on, it vanishes. You're like, And then as you click the lights on, or on and off, it gets closer in the dark and then vanishes in the light. And pretty quickly we get geared up that this is some sort of, demon, dark entity, whatever you want to call it. And obviously it can be there in the dark and not in the light. That's the whole shtick of this movie. And this cat and mouse game ensues with the dad, played by Billy Burke, which ends predictably in Dad's bloody corpse. So then we move on to being introduced to the Rebecca character, and then at home, the mom, the kind of crazy mom, and the stepbrother, because this is a stepdad for the Rebecca character, and whatever, because her dad supposedly ran off. In any case, they can't keep this mysterious at all. They want to give it a backstory. So, as a young girl, Sophie was hospitalized, and she developed a friend named Diana, who has the worst skin condition in the history of skin conditions. and actually where like light is, she is adverse to light. I mean, like it wounds her. So the doctors, I guess, concocted some like cockamamie light therapy thing and basically destroyed her. But not before she was able to somehow get into Sophie's head and apparently into the darkness, and sort of like, I guess, went home with Sophie that way. So, so now this thing has surfaced at this time, because, and is starting to kill people, all apparently with the overall endeavor of trying to keep Sophie apparently to herself. Sure. So Rebecca, the brother, the boyfriend, they all kind of go to war against this dark thing, this dark insidious being, and, you know, this sort of cat and mouse game in the house, you know, lights on, lights off, ooh, hide, run, do all this stuff. I mean, it's sort of, it just sort of goes, ensues like that, plays out like that. I gotta admit, it's funny because they like the kid runs up to a light bulb and like a lamp, and he's gonna turn on the lamp, but the light bulb has been removed. And then, like, I think there was another lamp, and the light bulb had been removed. But then when they go to, they're like, oh, we're gonna do battle with thing. Like every light in the house is burning, and it's like you can see the thing from freaking space. And I'm just like, if you take out one light bulb, or have somebody take out a light bulb because maybe it's telling Sophie to do these things, I don't really know. Why not take them all out? I don't know. Reasons. And then, or why not do something more drastic and just interrupt power like a main circuit breaker? Well, let's say they get to that, but only when the story demands it. You know, this is all done the way the story demands it, not the way it should maybe actually happen. And then there's the nature of just. And then you just have this trouble with the nature of darkness versus light. Because the thing can be in darkness, it can't be in light. But I mean, there's a lot of gray area there. And also, it's like they're running around with candles and flashlights. Especially with a flashlight, you point it, you know, light is that way, but there's dark all behind you. And it's just not, I don't know. There's just movie physics holes, plot holes. It just, like, it's just, none of this really worked for me. This is a silly horror movie with a silly premise, with silly execution, and the ending that they concocted for it was just bland and banal and basic. If I can give the film one little feather in its cap, like the entity, the dark entity known as Diana, I thought did look good as on screen when they had it in shadows and how they moved it around. Like that part looked good, but the narrative in which they surrounded this mysterious figure was just so like dumb and like the most basic plot and script that they could have tossed together. This wasn't the actors' fault. The actors just did what they did with what they got. It's just a bad overall story with a bad script, and maybe they should have spent a little bit more of that $5 million on that venue. So, bleh. I hate it, bad horror movies. Yeah. In any case, so I'm going to give Lights Out, directed by David F. Sandberg, a D. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my review. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, leave comments down below if you want. Have dialogue. As always, I am Eric Hoernke. That rhymes with Hoernke, and this has been a production of Zero Value. Thanks for watching.